Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah. Got question Chase, has got the facts, talking NFL numbers, he's got your back. A little chart trend ball, man, he's got it like that. Chasing data by do champions. Chasing data applies to everyone. Chasing data, yeah, we're live today. Chasing data for always. Chasing data by do champions.
What's up, and welcome to week 2 edition of Chasing Data. We made it through a long off season, and now we are here full-fledged into the season. Like I said, week 2, we saw a great Thursday night football game last night between the Packers and the Commanders. We're going to discuss that. We're going to discuss everything else of note that happened in week 1 and what we're actually looking forward to in week 2. If you're new to this is all numbers based. This is not as much X's and O's, but it's what the numbers say. What do the advanced analytics say about these teams, about these games? Who's good, who's bad? Let's exclude garbage time. EPA, words you may not know, but if you're new to NFL or want to know more in-depth knowledge, stop at a good place. So let's get a little rundown of what we're going to do tonight. So have what we call the playbook. Let me remove that. And the playbook is as follows. We're going to go through Thursday night football recap. We are going to go through power rankings, top players, storylines, matchups I like for week 2, upset watch for week 2, game of the week for this week, and just do rapid fire picks, money line picks for all these teams, all these games for week 2. So, with that said, let's go straight to Thursday night football. Thursday night. This score does not indicate what really happened in this game. Yeah, it was a 9-point game, but it was never close. Wasn't anywhere really close at all. The Packers dominated this game in almost every aspect. Offense, defense. I mean, Jaden Daniels was shut down. Tucker Kraft couldn't be stopped. Chargers for life says go Chargers. Yeah, I just have the Chargers shirt on for tonight because they're going to be one of my top movers for sure. They're one of the teams I'm most impressed with, but we'll talk about them in the power rankings in the next segment. But like I said, this game was not close. The Green Bay defense, I mean, I was a little skeptical, to be honest, whenever the Packers traded 2 first rounds for Micah Parsons. It kind of went all in. They have a young roster, but they're going to be up against the cap over the next 2 years. But through the first 2 weeks, I honestly don't think that this team could look any better than what they have thus far. This defense, I mean, we've only seen everyone else play one game, but they are looking like the best defense in football right now. You have the likes of, forget Micah Parsons up front. You have the likes of Kayshon Nixon in the secondary, he had 5 passes defense last night, which is the most over the last 2 seasons. I mean, this guy's coming out of nowhere. He was the kick returner, punt returner, and he's just been playing out of his mind. But like I said, this team just absolutely dominated. Micah Parsons has 1.5 sacks. His pressure rate is through the roof per norm, and he's not even at full health yet. He still has the back issues that's lingering, keeping him from playing closer to the number of snaps that he can play for this team. So it's going to be interesting to see how it goes as the weeks continue. Like I said, they play 2 of the top offenses of 2024 in the Commanders and the Lions, and they've shut them both down. All right, let's see. So that's Joe says, trade Mike Evans for Hampton and Rome. Yeah, I mean, especially if you're needing depth. I mean, I think Amarion Hampton last week, he had negative 34 rush yards over expected, which means he did not hit the holes as expected. He got a lot of carries, so his numbers are a little inflated, but he is definitely going to be better in week 2 and going forward, especially with Greg Roman. I know we saw a lot of passing last week with the Chargers, which was very surprising, but I would trade for Hampton if you need him. Eric says Pickens versus Giants or Pearsall with Mac Jones for week 2. I'm going Pickens. The defense, the secondary especially, I think it was, I don't know, I really didn't, wasn't too highly on what the Commanders did in week 1. We all know what the front four is going to do, but I feel like Dak with CD and George Pickens, that's just a trio that is going to be great, and I don't trust Mac Jones. Let's see. All right. Damie said I had Worthy as a flex last week and Reed as a flex this week. Couldn't be much worse. Thanks for stopping by. Wyatt says Evans or Sutton. Mike Evans. This offense, Egbuka is going to take pressure off of him. Jordan Mason, Dylan Sampson, or Quentin Johnson says Hype Sports Collectibles. Oh, Quentin Johnston. He looked great last week. I go with him. Travis Hunter or Kayshon Boutte and the flex PPR. Let's go Travis Hunter. Njoku or Kincaid to start week 2. I don't know. Njoku, I mean, they might run a lot of 2 tight end sets in Cleveland. I still like Harold Fannin, but Njoku might be the one to go to. Jason says flex Hollywood or ETN. ETN, they got rid of Tank Bigsby. Liam Cohen looks like he is going full out, changing this run game and having a number 1, 3 down back in ETN. All right, I'll get back to the comments in just 1 second. So back to Thursday Night Football. Another thing that I love to see was the fact that Jordan Love ran the ball. He, in years past, or last year, I should say, he would have open lanes and just would not take off with the ball. It was absolutely ridiculous, honestly. But he had that big run early in the game in the first half, ran over one of the Commanders' defenders, and then his connection with Tucker Kraft. You think about how good this offense is playing right now. We all know they have Matt LaFleur, but this offense looks amazing right now. Tucker Kraft is looking like a young George Kittle. Maybe it's just the number, not really sure. But this guy his connection with Jordan Love is absolutely unstoppable right now. And you add in the fact that Christian Watson is out. Jaden Reed didn't play the majority of the game last night. And Matthew Golden, their first-round pick, has done nothing for this team. So if they can only really go up from here, it seems like. They had 2 offensive linemen out last night, and they were still unstoppable in this game. One thing that worried me is the Washington offense over 2 weeks. They've scored 31. No, wait. Sorry. They scored, 18-17 last week. They didn't score many last week against the Giants. I know the Giants' front four is one of the best in the league, but they have not been what they were in last year. Don't know how much of that sophomore slump, but they added weapons. And, I mean, I know they lost De'Ami Brown, but I'm not going to say I'm concerned yet. I'm just watching to see what they're going to do in weeks 3, 4, and 5. The Eckler injury was a big thing because the Commanders traded away Brian Robinson Jr. to the 49ers, another injury-riddled team. And, the whole Bill Krosky-Merritt saga is really about to take a leap forward because he's about to be a bell cow running back for this team. I know they have Rodriguez as well, but it's going to be interesting to see what they do because Eckler's out for the season. I mean, they hadn't confirmed it was an Achilles, but it's an Achilles. Let's get back to some of these comments. Landon, let's see. Smith or Pickens? Devontae Smith? 07 Patriots or 72 Dolphins, says go Georgia Dogs. Definitely those 7 Patriots. I don't think those 2 teams would be much of a competition. Packer fan, Jarrett says, Packer fan here. This team isn't even near its full potential. The defense is absolutely ridiculous. Yeah, I know. I mean, Jeff Hafley has been playing lights out with how he's scheming up this defense. Nate Hobbs plays his first game last night. I mean, they got rid of Jair Alexander, and he was injured for a large part of the season last year, but this defense just looks absolutely amazing through 2 weeks. I know we can look back at 2024 and what the Saints did through 2 weeks and be a little hesitant, but this team looks absolutely amazing. Wait until Watson, Reed, and yeah, exactly. Leo says Monty or Jaylen Warren. Monty until they figure out the running back situation in Pitt. All right, a lot of comments. T. Higgins or Stephon Diggs, and why? T. Higgins, because that offense was an anomaly last week. They're not going to be that low. We know that's maybe the best wide receiver duo between T. Higgins and Jamar Chase, paired with a top 5 quarterback in Joe Burrow. All right, everybody else, I will come back after I get through this next segment. All right, so just looking at like the just overview of the stat line from last night. I mean, like I said, Tucker Kraft, he had a career high in catch rate over expected, a positive 12.6%. So that means he caught that over what he was expected to catch. He had 74 yards after the catch, which was a career high. I mean, this guy and this game may have been just a coming out party for him. One thing that's iffy is what's going on with Terry McLaurin. He has, like, I think 73 combined yards through 2 games. There's been some missed throws from Jaden Daniels. I mean, it hasn't looked great. He had a negative EPA last night, minus 0.04. I mean, the majority of the team did, but like I said, it was not great at all. Jaden Daniels had a negative 15.6 expected points added. That means he took away over 2 touchdowns based on advanced analytics last night. That was the worst of his 2-year career. I think the next highest was like negative 11 or somewhere around that. I mean, it's just, like I said, I'm watching to see what happens going forward. Kayshawn Nixon, like I was talking about, he had 5 pass defense last night, was the most in a single game by any player since the beginning of last year, and he allowed 1 catch for 9 yards on 6 targets as the nearest defender last night. The Packers, the defense, going back to the defense was absolutely amazing. Lowest single game explosive rate, 3.1% of Jaden Daniels' short career, albeit it's only a little over 1 season. But, I mean, it's something to stop this team the way that they did. They had 2 explosive plays last night. And if you're not familiar with what an explosive play actually is, that is a run of 20 or more yards or a pass of 20 or more yards. So they had 2 of them all night. Like I said, this game was not anywhere as near as close as the score indicates. But, okay, enough about Thursday Night Football. Next up, power rankings. I'm going to put them up here, and you can see. Let me get back to the comments. Let's see what we got. Appreciate everyone asking everything. Let's see. Let me get to them. All right. Kenneth Walker or J.K. Dobbins? Kenneth Walker. Monty or Dylan Sampson? Monty, for sure. Pearsall versus Judy, even though he has Mac Jones. Judy, I think, had a down week, honestly. I mean, the Browns, I mean, Flacco, you always have the opportunity of him just going off at any given moment and just busting out for 300-plus yards, and Judy could be the recipient of that. All right. Octavio says, who should I put in the flex? Odunze or Jordan Mason? Man, Odunze, that connection, it just really scares me at this point because it's been a year plus now. We haven't seen really anything of note. I mean, Caleb Williams looked great on that first scripted drive, and then after that, it was just absolutely downhill. Prior to that last drive in the fourth quarter, they had -1 net yards for the fourth quarter, and the Vikings had like 160 or something. I know Jordan Mason is kind of like a running back by committee, but at this point, week 2, I'm going Jordan Mason. I don't really trust it. Hold Ollie Gordon or DJ Giddens. Ollie Gordon. I think he's going to get some run before it's all said and done. That season may be over in Miami soon, and he may be on the field before we know it. All right. Why David Montgomery? Because I know Dylan Sampson had quite a good week, but Quinshon Judkins he practiced today, I believe, so it's going to take away some of the carries for sure. Jonathan Taylor versus Broncos defense. Not good. Ryan says, I don't feel good about them at all, or anyone facing the Broncos defense, who was the number 1 defense in all the NFL last year, and they added 3 new starters in Dre Greenlaw, Talanoa Hufanga, and Jahdae Barron. Cam Ward looked good last week, or decent, I should say. His receivers really sold him on all the drops that they had. But Daniel Jones with Jonathan Taylor. All right, we're going to come back to the comments in a second. Let's talk about the power rankings. So if you're watching on TikTok, well, not TikTok, YouTube, X, Twitch, you can watch it all on Do Champions. You can see what I'm showing on the live stream. But I have my power rankings. I'm starting from the bottom and going up. Starting from the bottom, Carolina Panthers looked terrible. We're just going to speak on a few of these. Miami looked absolutely awful. New Orleans, New York, Tennessee, 27, New England. 26, Cleveland. 25, Indianapolis. 24, Las Vegas. 23, New York. Pittsburgh, Chicago. Jacksonville at 20. Dallas, Seattle, Arizona. That rounds out the bottom half. Second half, the top half, Atlanta, Detroit at 15, Cincinnati. And these power rankings are before Thursday Night Football. Washington at 13, San Francisco, Denver, Houston at 10, Tampa Bay at 9, Kansas City 8, Los Angeles Rams at 7, Vikings at 6, Chargers at 5, Packers at 4, Eagles at 3, Ravens at 2, Bills at number 1. So the biggest leaper of from where I had preseason ranks of all these teams, where I broke down all 32 teams, one per week or one or two per week, the Los Angeles Chargers are the biggest riser from the preseason rankings. They jump up 10 spots from where I had them. So I had them 15 going into week 1. Now they're number 5. I mean, they look great, especially with what Justin Herbert was able to do with this pass game. I mean, it was more mind-blowing that Greg Roman was willing to pass the ball than anything else. Him passing the ball was just absolutely a surprise. The biggest faller, Miami Dolphins. They look terrible. Tua had like his second worst game of his career, minus 17 EPA, so 17 points lost based on his play alone. Looked terrible. But Washington probably stays around 13 after last night's loss. I don't really think much changes, but Green Bay, they're 4 right now behind Philadelphia. I mean, I can move them up once or twice, depending on what happens with the other teams. Pablo says, start Mahomes, even though he plays the Eagles, or Goff because he plays the Bears. I would go Goff. I know that Goff looked terrible last week, but Mahomes does not have Xavier Worthy. He does not have Rashee Rice. He probably will not have Jalen Royals, even though he's a rookie, not really counting on him much. Pacheco looked terrible still, and that offense looked terrible. Josh Price, 1 running back, 1 flex. Ladd, Kamara, Henderson, ETN, Hunter. 1 running back, give me ETN, 1 flex, Ladd. Jay Beasley says Cowboys should be number 1. They got to take care of the Giants first, and then maybe they can move up a spot or 2. Braden says Murray or Fields. I'm going Justin Fields. They run a lot of zone run. They have a big thing with the zone run game, and that is very potentially a Bills' weakness, especially going into this week. So give me Justin Fields. Why did LaFleur have to throw? Ghost Pepper says, why did LaFleur have to throw the challenge flag when the officials upstairs could have done it? I kind of wondered the same thing, so I don't really have an answer for you. Just wanted to see some action, I guess, with that flag. Hampton and Fantasy, think he'll finish top 5? That might be a push. Again, thanks everybody stopping by, and I will get back to the comments momentarily. Mate OB, I have Shakir, Devontae, Keenan Allen, ETN, and Flex. Which 2 receivers? Devontae and Shakir. All right, so let's power rankings. Top players for week 1. I did the top 3 offensive players, top 3 defensive players. Again, if you're here and you don't follow, I post daily analytical stuff on every team in the NFL. It's not just one team. It's everybody's favorite team, everybody's least favorite team. So be sure to follow if you don't already. All right, so number 3, as far as offensive players go, was Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones showing up the way he did in this game against the Dolphins. I know the Dolphins maybe have the worst secondary in the NFL, but the way he showed out against them, and once he actually had a good offensive line, he was able to look amazing. It actually was very surprising. He was 22 for 29, 272 pass yards, 3 total touchdowns, and a positive 17.5 EPA, total EPA. That's pass and rush. I mean, he was one of like 5 quarterbacks in their first start with the team to have 250 pass yards and 2 rushing touchdowns in their debut. I mean, this is just ungodly numbers from Daniel Jones, of all people. Number 2, like I said, Justin Herbert. We talked about Justin Herbert already. This guy was 25 of 34, one of his most efficient and productive games in a win, not playing from behind or anything like that. On top soon. Appreciate you following. Anybody else that's here, you can follow along and follow him if you want more analytics. 318 yards for Justin Herbert, four total touchdowns, 17 points added, expected points added. Again, he did not only just pick apart the Chiefs defense, he made the Chiefs defense look like they were a young, new defense that was not coached by Steve Spagnuolo. Justin Herbert, I mean, he just, like I said, he dissected them at all times. You have Lad McConkey, who's wide receiver 1. Then you have Quentin Johnston, who has looked much improved from 2 years ago. And now you have Keenan Allen. So Keenan Allen's going to pick you apart on these short intermediate routes all day, every day, especially if you play zone, you can hang it up. He's going to find the hole in the zone, soft spot in the zone, and Justin Herbert already has a rapport with him. It's game over. Then you have Omarion Hampton, who, like I said, had a down game in week 1, had negative 34 rush yards over expected. So not an ideal game. He just had a ton of carries, but I expect that to improve. He's just got to hit the holes when he sees them. But again, Justin Herbert also had that first down that he clinched the game with, honestly, at the end of the game. Number 1 offensive player, I don't think there's really any argument. I mean, Lamar probably would have been here if they would have won the game. But it's Josh Allen, 33 for 46 passing, 394 total yards, positive 21.1 total EPA, 4 total touchdowns. They were down 15 with 5 minutes left in this game. And I mean, he just did whatever he wanted against the Ravens defense. You could argue that the Ravens did not stay as aggressive on offense and defense as they did earlier in the game, and that's what hurt them. But I mean, Josh Allen was part of the reason. I mean, he was the first quarterback to have over 250 pass yards in the fourth quarter and 2 touchdowns, I want to say, in NFL history. I mean, it's just the last 2 years, he just continues to shock and amaze with anything and everything that he does. All right, let's take a look at the comments real quick. All right, like I said, appreciate the follow. On top soon. Let's see. As a Chargers fan, how do you feel about Eckler? I'm not personally a Chargers fan. I cover everybody. I have about too many shirts. They were the biggest riser for my power rankings, so I just have a Chargers shirt on tonight. But how do I feel about Eckler? It's tough to see anybody go down, especially the running back position. I saw something today that said like 50% of running backs that tear their Achilles do not come back. And there's only been 2 that came back and had a solid season. It was 1 in J.K. Dobbins. But I mean, like, his future is not bright, especially at the age that he's at. Poppy says, Keenan Allen or Mike Evans? Mike Evans. M says, DJ Moore, Travis Etienne, is that a good trade? I would take Etienne. Connor says, Kenneth or Charbs? Yeah, I'm saying Kenneth right now, but Charbonnet could be getting at least half the carries as the season goes on. I actually have a video about that. JBZ, Tyreek, Swift, McMillan. Oh, God, that's terrible. Tet and Swift until Tyreek has a 30-yard catch. It's been over a year. Raiders hate week. Yep, I feel you, Ash. All right, Hayden says, start Nix or Fields? Justin Fields. They played the Buffalo Bills. It's going to be a high-scoring game. The Jets absolutely dominated the zone run game last week, and they are going to do the same because this might be one weakness of this Bills defense. So go with them. Randall says Hampton or Tit in the flex. Give me Hampton. Matt, appreciate the follow. Brees or Travion? Oh, definitely Brees. Brees Hall had an amazing game last week. And like I said, zone run game is going to be amazing. All right, top 3 defensive players of week 1. This is all week 1. We already talked about Thursday Night Football earlier, but week 1. Number 3, Xavier Woods. This is a very unexpected name to be number 3, and let me tell you why. He had 41 coverage snaps last week, just 2 targets, 0 receptions allowed, 1 interception, and a minus 7.4 coverage EPA. That means he basically took 7 points off the board by himself. Best in the NFL in week 1. The never aging Xavier Woods, apparently. The comeback player of the year, Xavier Woods. Again, I was shocked by that, but hey, numbers don't lie. Number 2, someone who just recently got paid, Nick Bonito. This guy came out of nowhere last year for the Broncos, having a sack in I want to say 11 games. It led the NFL. He had 1 sack this week, 9 QB pressures, and a 40.9% pressure rate. That's, if you don't know much about pressure rate, that is well above average. Well above average. So good luck to Daniel Jones this week. We're going to see what he's really made of against this Denver defense. Side note, surprisingly, the Broncos are only favored by 1.5 points. Number one, if you're watching online and not on TikTok, is Harold Landry. Again, another surprise. I really didn't read much into Harold Landry once he was released by the Titans and him signing with Mike Vrabel. I was like, whatever, it's just another piece. But this guy came out in week 1 and leads the NFL in sacks, 2.5 sacks, 7 QB pressures, 25% quarterback pressure rate, which is still solid. But you think about Nick Bonito had a 41, 5 stops. That's tackles behind or at or behind the line of scrimmage. Basically, let me find what I said about Harold Landry. I had a tweet discussing how well he played. Give me 1 second. Let's see. Oh, no, not that. Well, I don't want that. Like I said, Harold Landry, between he and Milton Williams, they absolutely left their fingerprint on this game in week 1. I know they did not come out with the win, but they definitely played well, for sure. Definitely above average. Where's it at? What did I say? What did I say about Harold Landry? It was something good. It was something really good. Where's it at? I don't want to get my numbers wrong. So he's the first New England player to have a 7 pressure game, 7 or more pressures since the beginning of last year. So first game in, and he has 7 pressures on 28 pass rushes. I mean, this is absolutely outstanding. You can't ask for much more if you're a Patriots fan. All right, so going back to, let's look at these comments real quick. All right, Matt Ferguson or Pitt this week. Jake Ferguson. He's going to make some of those catches where Dak just puts it on his numbers, on his hands, and he catches them. Myers or Wilson in the flex. Jacoby Myers. Gino's going to get him the ball. Would you trade Brock, Henderson, and Pickens for Henry, Kelsey, and Coleman? Ooh, that's a big trade. No, I would not. No. Unless you're just really like Derrick Henry. I mean, Travis Kelsey, I don't trust him. Keon Coleman may have been a fluke. Ricky Pearsall since Purdy's out, or bench Pearsall, sorry. I would with Mac Jones. I don't trust him. Staten says trade ETN, Keon Coleman for Jack. No, ETN had a great week. I know Jackson Smith and Jigba look great too, but man, the comments are just, it's hard to keep up. Let's see. Cade Otton or Hunter Henry. Oh my God, you're really desperate for tight end. I go Cade Otton. DK or Wilson or Zay. Give me Zay Flowers in the flex. Zay for sure. They're gonna score like crazy. Nicholas says Chuba, Keenan Allen, Keon, Tyreek. All right, Egbuka and Chuba. All right. Come back to the comments in a minute. Next up, storylines for week 2. So some of the things that are really on my mind. I kind of touched on some of these things already, but Chiefs, are they in trouble after a week 1 loss? Their week 1 loss is kind of worrisome just because how bad that defense looked. The offense is as expected. With no Rashee Rice, I definitely made the argument that they could be a top 5 offense once Rashee Rice comes back with their kind of revamped, improved offensive line. But without him, he takes out that whole inside piece of the field. And then Xavier Worthy being out for week 2. If anybody can come back from an 0-2 start, is them. But it's going to be an uphill climb, especially against the Eagles. And we're going to talk about that more in a moment. Like I said, Xavier Worthy's out. Pacheco did not look good. I was high on him going into week 1 because I honestly thought that he was going to come in, and Jay Beasley says Chiefs will be fine for the second half of the season. Yeah, once Rashee Rice is back, it'll be much better. But Pacheco, I thought he was coming back fully healthy. He came back too early last year and was just, I don't think he was fully healed from his injury. So I was high on him going into week 1, and he, especially against this Chargers defense and Chargers front that is not the best, especially on paper. But Pacheco did not look good. Mahomes had the 4th fastest time to throw of his career, 2.38 seconds. He's just running for his life right now. Doesn't look great. The Chiefs ran zone defense on almost 86% of the snaps in the first half. I mean, Justin Herbert just picked them apart. We talked about what Keenan Allen could do against zone. You have Ladd McConkey as well. I mean, it's the highest rate that they ran since 2019 in one half. Second half, they flipped it. They go 35% zone. It still didn't really help. They went zone, nowhere near as much, and they just turned up the blitz. Again, minimal help, potentially. 69% blitz rate in the second half. It's almost like Steve Spagnuolo said, look, we cannot cover these guys with Justin Herbert under center right now. Let's just try to get some pressure at him and see if we can make up for our losses. Still did not help. Momo says Drake London or Tyreek. Oh, Drake London. I thought Drake was on an injury report for some reason. All right. Would you trade Pollard to get Addison? I think Pollard's going to come back. They had a tough first week, but I would keep Pollard. Jake says, I would take Aaron Jones. Aaron Jones for now. Appreciate everybody stopping by, commenting. All right, my second storyline that I'm looking, I got a few of them. Is it over for Miami? I mean, like I said earlier, Tua had like the 3rd worst game as far as EPA goes of his career. I mean, this system is solely built straight around him being the system quarterback. He knows where his read is going to be as soon as the ball is snapped. I mean, he knows where he's going with the ball. But Tyreek Hill hasn't had a 30-yard or more reception since the beginning of last year. He's definitely hitting a cliff, it seems, or just doesn't care. Not really sure. But Tua had a negative 17 EPA. Absolutely god-awful. He had, 2 interceptions? Yeah, 14 for 23, 114 yards, a touchdown, 2 interceptions versus Indy. I mean, Indy has an above-average defense, but I thought the floor was quite high for this Dolphins offense. The defense, the secondary is what I was worried about for Miami, but if the offense can't go, then this team's not going to go. He was pressured 3 times, and that's mostly due to the fact that his time to throw is league best because he gets the ball, spins around, throws it instantly. But he failed to complete a pass the 3 times he was under pressure. Both interceptions were from a clean pocket, which is even worse for Tua. Jay Beasley says bench Tua for Ewers. Yes, there's an argument for that at some point this season, but the problem is they owe him so much money. It's almost like the Russell Wilson. If he continues to play this terribly, it's like that Russell Wilson contract as far as dead cap that they would have going for this year and next year. Again, I just don't know what's going to come of this, especially with this secondary that is god-awful. And the front 4 is good, great even. But if this offense cannot be top 12, then there's no chance of this team making the playoffs. All right. Do I start ETN or at flex over? Yeah, ETN for sure. JBZ at 10-man. That's pretty solid. That's pretty solid for sure. I'd say definitely I'd give it an 8 out of 10. Egbuka and Sutton, give me Egbuka. All right. Another thing that's not pictured here, but the Jets offense. I talked about them earlier and how well that they looked against Steelers. They've kind of made the Steelers look like a below average defense and kind of beat them up front, which was very surprising to say the least. The zone run game was just absolutely amazing. I mean, Breece Hall looked like what he did 2 years ago. Justin Fields, 16 for 22, 218 yards, a touchdown, positive 8.3% catch rate over expected, 4th highest of his career. 48 rush yards, 2 touchdowns on the ground. He played possibly the game of his life against the Pittsburgh Steelers, one of the better defenses in the NFL. So their offense being as good as it is quite surprising, and it's going to be an interesting storyline because Justin Fields signed a 2-year, $40 million contract this year. It's basically a 1-year, $30 million guaranteed, but Lord, he just looks good. I mean, he may be playing, if he's not playing for another starting year there, he will be playing for it somewhere. I mean, it was just, like I said, it was great. It was his third highest EPA game of his career. All great things. I was kind of curious to see how it was going to play out in New York because their offensive coordinator was the pass game coordinator for Detroit last year, and Tanner Engstrand. So I was like, why are they bringing a passing focused offensive coordinator to have pairing with Justin Fields and this run scheme of an offense that they have? And I mean, week 1 just looked great. So I think the over-under we're going to talk about in a little bit against them and the Bills, 46.5. I could be wrong. I'm going to get to it in a second. Definitely taking the over for that game. Real deal Prime Buffalo Mafia in the house. Yeah, we're going to talk about the Bills shortly, and that's going to be one of our talking points whenever we talk about the odds for some of these games. Another thing that really caught my eye was the fact that Bryce Young just looked absolutely terrible. You know, he had the great second half of the season once he came back from being benched for Andy Dalton. He was a average quarterback or even top 14 based on all the advanced analytics, catch rate over expected, EPA per drop back. Everything looked great. He looked terrible against a Jacksonville Jaguars defense that was one of the worst in the league last year, if not the worst pass defense. I know they added a few players in Jordan Lewis. They have Travis Hunter playing a few snaps back there, but it shouldn't be that revamped. I know Anthony Campanile is doing a lot in Jacksonville, but not enough to make Bryce Young just look terrible. You just think about that fourth down pass where they're at whatever the 4th and goal, and he just gives the fan a ball. Like, what is he doing? Like, it's almost like a processing issue at this point. It's not like the athleticism, the height, anything like that. He was 18 for 35, 154 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions, minus 13% completion percentage over expected. I mean, like, he's just not making throws. I think the only one that was worse than him was, or right there near it, was Caleb Williams. And we know how bad Caleb Williams was this week throwing the ball. And throws over 2.5 seconds where he had time in the pocket, or if he scrambled, I should say, 7 for 20, 62 yards, interception, minus 23% completion percentage over expected. Just awful all around terrible. Again, appreciate everybody stopping by. If you don't follow, we're doing our live show right now, but every day I post NFL analytic based TikToks, videos on every team in NFL. It's not just one team. All right, let's see some of the comments. Jay Beasy says that Steelers game is why I'm having trouble either starting Fields over Murray. I'm going Fields. It may have been you earlier, but Fields for sure. I think it's just really going to fit him well against Buffalo, and it's going to be a high-scoring game. Kyler going off this week. Yeah, I mean, he could. I mean, this offense is very underrated in Arizona. I don't think you can go wrong with either one of them. Retweet guy. Okay. Juwan or Kelsey? Juwan Johnson? Yes, Juwan Johnson. JJ McCarthy or Caleb? Give me JJ McCarthy. Caleb looked good on the scripted plays, and then after that, the wheels fell off, and it was downhill from there. Christian says, Sam Laporta or TJ Hockenson? Give me Laporta. I know neither one of them really did anything in week 1, but give me Laporta. I think that's more likely to happen. Again, appreciate everybody stopping by. All right, talking about the Lions. That offense looked terrible, but I spoke on this whenever I had them number 5 in my preseason rankings, and that was mostly because, you know, I expected some rough starts for this team, being that they have a brand new offensive coordinator, they have a brand new defense coordinator. But having both of those brand new, losing Ben Johnson, who is maybe one of the best offense coordinators, if not the best in the league, going to Chicago, there's going to be some rust. Goff had 3.3 air yards per completion, which was the 5th lowest mark of his tenure. Again, how much of that is the Detroit offense and how much of that is the Green Bay defense? Because we talked about earlier to start to show how great the defense looked against 2 of the best offenses of 2024. So I'm not too worried about it, but it's something that I'm watching for week 2. Again, we talked about somebody just asked Caleb or JJ McCarthy. JJ McCarthy. I mean, he won offensive player of the week, which might have been too much of a push, especially or NFC. But he looked great. For him to have the mental capability to bounce back after throwing that pick six, he looked terrible. Couldn't throw the ball past 2 yards past the line of scrimmage in the first half. And for him to bounce back the way he did in the second half and lead that team, scoring 21 points, was it in the fourth quarter? He just looked amazing. I would take him over Caleb Williams right now. And that's, like I said, Caleb Williams looked great on the scripted plays. That first drive looked amazing. Could not be stopped. But then you start to see he did better in the pocket. He didn't just roll out like he did so much last year where he had 68 sacks in 2024. But the big misses, he either had the worst or next to worst completion percentage over expected in week one. It was he and Bryce Young. I mean, those two together, not a good group to be in. So, JJ over Caleb. Luke says Brady or Shedeur. Okay. Michael says Dak or Bo Nix. Dak. Thanks for stopping by, Michael. Cam Ward, talked about him earlier. 12 for 28, 112 yards, minus 10% completion percentage over expected. How much of that is due to the drops? The drops, Calvin Ridley, you saw his dad just absolutely losing his mind in the stand over the drops. The numbers don't really favor him right now. Curious to see what he does this week, though. I mean, they were playing maybe the best defense in the NFL. Tyler Warren and Harold Fannin had two of the best tight end rookie debuts in NFL history. Both of them tied or broke the record with 7 receptions. One had 76 yards, one had 63. Like I said, great debuts for both of them. Harold Fannin is going to be a household name before the end of the season, I do believe. Ted had 5 for 68. These are the rookies. Egbuka should have won Offensive Rookie of the Week over Bill Krosky-Merritt. Egbuka had 4 for 67 and 2 touchdowns. Just absolutely great. Matthew Golden, we talked about him earlier. He has definitely not panned out so far. It's just 2 weeks, though. Ben says, would you trade Brock Bowers, Travion Henderson, and George Pickens for Kelsey, Henry, and Coleman? I would not. Brock is possibly tight end 1. I know he's hurt, probably out this week. But George Pickens is a solid wide receiver, too. Kelsey, I have no faith in. Coleman, I think he overperformed in week 1. All right, 5 games that I'm pretty confident in my picks are things that I like about them. Number 1, the Patriots are 1.5-point dogs in this game. Talked about Tua earlier. He looked terrible. This season may be over sooner than you know it in Miami. Drake May in this offense. Drake May is probably going to look great against the Dolphins. So give me the New England Patriots straight up in that game. Buffalo, New York Jets. This is what I was talking about with the over earlier. Buffalo, we know, is going to just absolutely demolish this defense. And the zone run attack of the Jets is going to go off against the Buffalo Bills. It may be one of their weaknesses, honestly, in my opinion. But the over-under for this game is 45.5. They're going to surpass this. I could see it getting to a final score of 31-27 easily. And that's 58 points right there. Or 31-24. That's 55 points. That's 10 over the expectation. Again, appreciate everybody stopping by. Be sure to follow if you don't already. Arneson says Burrow or Murray this week. Give me Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow. I mean, he had a down week last week. Fabrizio says Kelsey or Kincaid. Kincaid. I mean, I just don't really trust Kelsey. Father Time is the only person that's undefeated. Seattle Pitt. Seattle are 3-point dogs. This is going to be a real test to see how real Pittsburgh is with Aaron Rodgers. The Seahawks have, in my opinion, a top 10 defense in the NFL. And I mean, last week, Brock Purdy was pressured on almost 58% of his dropbacks versus the 49ers, the highest pressure rate he's faced in his career. So the Seattle Seahawks were one of 4 teams to bring back 4 players, or one of 3 teams to bring back 4 players who had 40 or more pressures last year. Leonard Williams, Mafe, Jaron Reed, Mike Hall. Is that who it was? And then they added DeMarcus Lawrence. So this front 4 is absolutely amazing in Seattle. Kelsey or Fannin? Definitely Fannin. Trevor says, I need Charbonnet to pop off. Yeah, I posted about this about during the preseason sometime saying how I really think by the end of this year it's going to be at least a 50-50 split if Charbonnet doesn't just take RB1 position in Seattle. Kenneth Walker has lost too many games, and the gist of it is Charbonnet is consistent and has improved. I just really feel strongly about Seattle's defense in this game, and I could see them. I mean, they're only 3-point dogs, but winning this game outright. Smoody says Caleb Williams or Michael Penix. Michael Penix. Chubb or Kenneth Walker. Let's go Kenneth Walker right now while he's still RB1, but things could change in an instant in Seattle, especially with his injury history. All right, another matchup I'm looking at. Arizona is minus 6.5-point favorites to the Carolina Panthers. They're winning this by a touchdown. Last year, the 2024 Arizona Cardinals were, I want to say, 12th overall in DVOA, so they were a top team in defensive value over adjusted. That basically takes into consideration the team they're playing, the play, the down, the situation. So it's a real indicator of how good a team is. Their defense was actually like 16th. I want to say the offense was like 9th or 10th, but their defense was definitely underrated. They added the likes of Calais Campbell, Josh Sweat, re-signed Baron Browning, and Walter Nolan, who didn't play in week 1, but they also have one of the really great pickups as of week 1 in Will Johnson. He failed due to his injuries, and they look great now. So, like I said, Will Johnson allowed 3 completions for 26 yards on 6 targets, 3 pass breakups in his week 1 debut versus the Saints. He forced a tight window on 3 of his 6 targets. And that's 50%. Last year, the cornerbacks in Arizona forced a 21%, 12th lowest tight window percentage in the NFL. All right, let's see. Ian Yee? I don't know. Hawk or DJ Moore? Oh, DJ Moore. I know Caleb sucks, but Keon Coleman or Keenan Allen? Let's go Keon Coleman one more week. I don't feel the best about that, but Keon Coleman. Brian says trade Ridley or ETN for Rashee Rice. No, Ridley if either one, but not ETN. Rashee Rice is out, 6 weeks, 8 weeks? I would not trade unless you're just absolutely amazingly deep. Philadelphia. I don't really want to talk about my pick because they're going to be focused on in just a moment. All right, so upset watch. There's not many games. Let me preface by saying there's not many games to choose from. I picked games that are at least 5 or more points of a spread. This is the one I felt most confident out of those games of the underdog winning. And that's the Chicago Bears that are currently 5.5-point dogs to the Lions. Like I said, all right, I'm really reaching here for my upset. I'm hoping Caleb Williams bounces back a little bit in Detroit. I don't know how truthful this is, but Jared Goff had 3.3 air yards per completion. Here's my argument for it all. 5th lowest mark of his Lions tenure, which dates back to 2021. They scored 1 touchdown on 4 red zone drives last week. They finished with 4 explosive plays, the Detroit Lions, their lowest explosive play rate since week 6 of 2021, which was a 6% rate. The Packers hit the Lions ball carriers behind the line of scrimmage on 16 of 22 carries. That's 72%, the highest rate under a Dan Campbell team. Jahmyr Gibbs had 10 catches for 31 yards, just absolutely ridiculous. The Packers allowed negative 12 rushing yards before contact and negative 0.6 yards before contact per carry, the second worst mark under Dan Campbell. I mean, everything looked terrible. Again, I don't know how much of that is the Green Bay Packers or the Detroit Lions, but I want to say more Green Bay Packers. But this is just my argument that the Lions can't do any worse than what they did in week 1 after the first drive and possibly pull out the upset. I don't feel too strongly about this, but this is my pick. All right. Game of the week. Super Bowl rematch. We're going to talk about that. Let's look at the comments. Let's see. Shell Vibes. Pierce off the flex, or should I start Javonte at RB2? Let's go Javonte one more week. He may get these goal line carries. Hollywood or Egbuka, 10 out of 10 days. Big guys. Start or sit Tank in a 24-man league. Oh my God. I'm still sitting. That's quite crazy if this is true. Michael says traded Tyler Warren over Hawkinson. Yeah. Swift, Shakir, Dobbins, or Diggs for my flex. Probably let's go Shakir. I don't feel that's the one I feel most confident in. All right, game of the week. Philadelphia currently 1.5 point favorites to the Kansas City Chiefs over under 46.5. Mahomes had a first down rate of 48% on third down last season. So on third downs, he got a first down on almost 1 out of every 2 plays. Week 1, he was 0 for 7 in the first half, 4 for 6 in the second half, and he was 2 for 10 in the Super Bowl. So we're probably going to see some of that same defense that we saw last year. Cover 4 defense by the Philadelphia Eagles. Philadelphia used cover 4 on 60% of its snaps in the Super Bowl. I mean, it's kind of what defeated Patrick Mahomes in this offense. The highest rate by any defense in the NFL since week 17 of 2020. Nobody runs cover 4 like the Eagles did in the Super Bowl. Mahomes was 10 of 18, 129 yards, 3 touchdowns, and an interception versus cover 4, but had just a 32% success rate. That success rate, which was the next to worst, it would have been the next to worst if that was extrapolated over a full season. So not good. Continuing to talk about that Eagles defense, Cooper DeJean. I mean, this guy in week 1, he allowed just 1 reception for no gain as the nearest defender on 33 coverage snaps. This defense I talked about before, they have gone from a front 4 led defense to a secondary led defense. It definitely flipped at the end of last year, and that's where we're at now. Saquon, is he going to bounce back in week 2? He had like 75 total yards. The run game just wasn't there like we saw last year. In the Super Bowl, he carried 14 times versus a too high look in the Kansas City defense. He's hit behind the line of scrimmage on 9 carries for 23 yards. He had minus 7 yards before contact. 2.9. So he had negative 7 yards before contact in the Super Bowl. In the regular season, he had 2.9 yards before contact. So quite the difference. GBU hockey, I traded Sampson for Judkins. W? Yeah, in the long run. Yeah, definitely so. Appreciate you stopping by. Jalen Carter, he's back. Hopefully not spitting on anyone in week 2. He had a 20% stuff rate, or they have a 20% stuff rate when he's on the field. 6.7% stuff rate when he's off. Would be the league worst. So he is just an absolute game changer for that interior defensive line in Philadelphia. Pacheco looked terrible. I mean, I don't know why this game is a 1.5 point spread right now. I know Jalen Hurts wasn't the best last week. He just made a bunch of flat, splashy plays with his legs, but didn't really feel too great about Jalen Hurts in week 1. My prediction for this game is that Philadelphia wins. Still going to be close. I don't really see them running away with it. It may, I don't know, a touchdown seems like you're pushing it, honestly. But I think Philadelphia wins around 24-20, 24-17 potentially. I don't think there's any way the Chiefs win this. I know they have Patrick Mahomes, one of the best quarterbacks of all time, but he doesn't have Rashee Rice. He doesn't have Xavier Worthy. This defense is not carrying them like they have before. They were 10-0 last year in 1-score games, and now they're 0-1 through 1 week. Some of the odds that I like: anytime touchdown for Jalen Hurts, minus 110. I mean, I feel like that's a given at this point. A.J. Brown, under 67.5 receiving yards. He got that 1 target, 1 catch at the end of the game in week 1. I don't know why, but Jalen Hurts is just not looking to the outside at this point. I mean, he's going to be covered by Trent McDuffie also. Mahomes, over 24.5 rush yards, is going to be a game where I think he has to use his legs to extend some of these plays. And, I mean, I just feel like he's going to have to create his own offense at times. If you want a little parlay, plus 500, Philadelphia money line, Hurts touchdown, and Mahomes over 24.5 rush yards is plus 500. The key advantages, I mean, I don't know if the Chiefs really have any. I really don't. All right. Joe says Jags versus Bengals. My thoughts on that game is this is a true test for Jacksonville on both sides of the ball. Trevor Lawrence didn't look great last week. He was mediocre. He definitely needs to take a step forward this season if he's going to be the quarterback of the future, especially in this Liam Cohen system. Travis Etienne looked amazing. The Bengals defense didn't look god awful, but whatever. I feel like it's definitely going to be a much higher scoring game than 16-17 or whatever it was for the Browns and the Bengals. Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, they bounced back. I mean, the secondary of the Jags was the worst in the NFL last year. And, I mean, it's not much improved. They have Travis Hunter taking a few snaps. Jordan Lewis is back there, who they brought in from Dallas. But, I mean, I could see this game easily being a 28-20 finish. I do think the Bengals pull this out. I mean, the Jacksonville Jaguars probably beat up on one of the worst teams in the NFL last week, if not the worst, in the Carolina Panthers. All right, finishing up. Rapid fire picks, money line picks for all the games. Rams and the Titans, I'm going Rams. Jags and the Bengals, I think the Bengals win it. It would be a great omen and a great start for the Jags if Liam Cohen is able to pull this out. Wouldn't be necessarily surprised, but would be interesting. Baltimore definitely beats Cleveland. Buffalo is going to be a high-scoring game, but they beat the Jets. New England, they're dogs in this game, but they're definitely going to beat the Dolphins. I know San Francisco starting Mac Jones, but Spencer Rattler, I was talking about the pressure earlier. Brock Purdy faced, I want to say it was the highest pressure rate of his career, and Spencer Rattler is the only quarterback since 2024 to not have a touchdown against pressure. So, good luck, New Orleans. Dallas and the Giants, Dallas should win that. Lions over the Bears, yes. I think the Seahawks go and beat Pittsburgh. Denver beats Indianapolis. It may be a close one. We're going to see if Bo Nix is truly struggling in his second year. Cardinals destroy the Panthers. Philadelphia should easily win against the Chiefs. The Vikings and J.J. McCarthy, if they play like they did in the second half. I know Michael Penix has looked good, but I don't think Atlanta's defense is going to be good enough to stop him. It's going to be interesting to see what James Pierce does, though. Houston and Tampa Bay. This is almost I don't think Houston should start 0-2, especially if Indy is 1-1 or possibly 2-0. It's almost like a must-win game early in the season. I know it's week 2. I know it's really pushing it. But I still think Houston may come out with a victory. But Tampa Bay's offense is just absolutely amazing. So it's kind of a toss-up, honestly. Chargers go in and take care of business against the Raiders. Raiders not going to have Brock Bowers on Monday Night Football. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens with that offense when he's not there. I know Geno can really sling it with the best of them. So we'll see what happens, but I still think the Chargers win. Going back on these comments, again, appreciate all of you stopping by. All right, Njoku or Warren? I'm going Tyler Warren again. Tyler Warren. Devontae at the flex is who I take. JBZ says Cowboys fan here. Micah's a great fit for Green Bay. Yeah, I mean, if he's not getting pressure, he's taking pressure off everyone else. We've seen it time and again through the first 2 weeks. Freedom Fighters of America says Kansas City beats the Eagles on Sunday. Ooh, what's your prediction on that score? Because if they win, it's got to be, 17-14? Something like that. It's got to be a low-scoring game. Mahomes is not putting up 35 points in this game. Unknown, Drake May or Justin Fields? Give me Justin Fields. Ooh, actually. Yeah, but I think you really can't go wrong with either one. I go Justin Fields just because he played great in the system in week 1. The run game's still going to be there. It's going to be a high-scoring game in Buffalo. They're probably going to be playing from behind. And the zone run game of the New York Jets matches up outstandingly well with Buffalo. On the other hand, Drake May is playing maybe the worst secondary in the NFL with the Miami Dolphins. So, can't go wrong. Lex says, I bench Pacheco for Stevenson. What do you think? Yeah, I would for this week. I mean, Jalen Carter is going to be back. Pacheco looked terrible last week. So, yeah, I would go Stevenson. Even though Trayvon's going to get some of those carries, I still go Stevenson. Adrian says, trade Chase Brown and Debo for Amon-Ra Hampton. Yeah, absolutely. Well, yeah. So, yeah, that's it for this episode. If you don't already follow, be sure to follow King NFL Stats on every platform. Follow Do Champions on everything. Appreciate everybody stopping by. If you don't follow me on here, what I do is daily analytical breakdowns of teams, who's the worst, who's the best, top performers. It's more of that than X's and O's. Like I said, if you can send me a request, I don't care. I'll take any team and just go for it. But that's pretty much it for the episode tonight. Jaden says trade JJ or Caleb. I'm keeping JJ McCarthy for sure. Jonnu or Ingram. Give me Evan Ingram. Sean Payton loves his tight ends. See what he does in week 2. Gio says I traded Neighbors, Pittman, and Warren for Nico and James Cook. It's gonna be tough to see how that one plays out over the season. I think it's kind of a toss-up right now. Then let's see. All right, TJ Hawkins and Gavin says in the
For the best Italian food in Western New York, Elliot Apollos, call 716-825-3675. The Lardon Construction Group.
Fubo TV, the official streaming service of Do Champions. FanDuel, the official sportsbook of Do Champions.
For all your summertime needs, beauty pools, as well as kayak pools.
CX Chronicles, your total customer solutions focused manager. W.GG, the official energy drink of Do Champions.
Hey, Sons of Erie, our artwork looks better on your walls. Hamburg Brewing, please visit our tap room on Boston State Road, Hamburg, New York. And finally,
Fat Boy Surf Club for all your surfing needs.
because last week, I mean,